Hello everyone. Today we're going to go over how to calculate the mean, median, and mode in Excel. The example today is going to pull data from Arkansas counties, and we're going to look at calculating the unemployment across different counties and look at the percent of population that's unemployed, and then calculate the mean and median. Is the mode appropriate for that type of measure? No. So I have an example of data that I pulled from my Introduction to Criminology and Criminal Justice course that has who's the instructor. It's either myself or Dr. Paez, the format of class, student classification, and the major of them as a whole. Many of you might have had me in intro for criminology and criminal justice, so I'm using this as an example of if you're interested in calculating the mode within Excel, how you can do that and how it can be done. So for the employment data, I think it's important to understand where I got the data from. So Arkansas has a license to Social Explorer, makes life a lot easier when it comes to downloading data. So here I went on and downloaded the ACS, American Community Survey, 5-year estimates for counties for 2018 for all of Arkansas counties. So with that, there's 75 different counties in Arkansas. And as you can see, if I scroll down here, there would be 75 once we remove the top header. For those of you who are not familiar with some of the geography, so the FIPS is a unique identifier for each state and county. So the geographic identifier here, 05, is the state FIPS. So these are missing the zeros here for the state and county, but you can see it in the geographic identifier. So 05 is Arkansas as a whole, then 001 is the first county, so Arkansas County itself, and it has a unique one for each county. This allows you to merge in data from other sources, which is pretty common, especially since this class is related to criminology or sociology. You can merge in county crime, so you can make crime rates if you're interested in that. Fayetteville is located in Washington County, so you can see here the unique ID would be 05143. You can see that this one has a unique ID, Washington County, and then it has corresponding, I grabbed total population for each county, the workforce, civilian, and labor force per each county. So you can see here, it's not the total population, this is the labor force per each county. So now let's get into calculating the mean, median, and then the mode examples as well. So here we have the count numbers, so the estimates for how many people are unemployed or employed per county. For this example, I'm going to show the percent that's employed because for a homework assignment that I'm attaching to this video, the students are going to be doing the unemployment side. So here I'm interested in calculating what percent of the population is employed per county. So with that, here we know we have an estimate of the population that is employed. So what I'm going to do to make it a bit easier to see is I'm going to create another variable and just say percent employed. So to calculate this, what I'm going to do is hit equals paren, and I'm going to take the value here, divide it by the total labor force, close the parenthesis, hit enter. So right now you might see, well, it's 0.93, that's not really a percentage. I'll change this at the end to make it show as a percentage. A trick in Excel, so you don't have to copy over each formula and do it for each one, is if you see this little green box down here and you double click it, it will auto-fill that formula across the other measures itself, the other counties. So if you scroll down, now each county has a value. Now to change this to a percentage, if you highlight the whole column here, K, I go up here and I can go and just click percentage, it changes it to a percentage. Typically, given this is a social data class, we want to have 2 decimal places, so I can increase the decimal places to have 2 decimal places here. So now we can see there's variation in the percent of the population that's employed by each county. So with that, now let's see what the average and the median is. So a quick way to see this, and this is an Excel tip that I have come to really like. So say I highlight these values here, so the 75 employment percentages. If you look down here at the bottom, it has your average already, and it tells you that there's 75 different counties. The average employment is 93.56, so the average percent of the population that's employed across the Arkansas counties is 93.56%. It's an easy way to look at it versus typing in the function itself. If you were interested in calculating this yourself, you would type in the function average. And if this is your first time using Excel or you're not as familiar with it, this is the function bar up here, so you can also type up here if it's easier for you to follow, parenthesis. And I'm going to click on this first value here, so it's going to be K2. And a trick within Excel is if you press and hold Control, hit Shift and hold that, and then the down arrow, it highlights all the values within this. So it highlighted the 75 counties that I was interested in. Close it off, and if I hit Enter, I go back up and I have the 93.56%. So this is my average, so I'm just going to type this next to it so I remember what that calculation was. Here, now I want to calculate the median, the 50th percentile for this. Similar, I'm going to use the basic median command. And if you're not familiar with what I did there with the Control Shift down arrow, it'd be the same as me clicking and holding this cell here and highlighting all the way down to the bottom here, closing the parenthesis and hitting Enter. And here our median is 93.86. So we know that at least 50% of the counties have employment percentages greater than 93.86 and 50% are below that. These are quick, easy ways to understand the average and median for social data. You can use this with crime as well. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. These are two easy functions within Excel that will help you quite a bit in understanding your data as a whole. Now moving on and going into the mode example. So again, this data came from an Introduction to Criminology and Criminal Justice survey that I give to my intro students as a syllabus acknowledgement, but also to understand some of their interests. So there's some questions I removed from here to give you an idea of just what I was keeping in. And Dr. Paez and I both used it this fall semester. So a key point with Excel is it wants to recognize numbers. So the easy example here, instead of coding each one of these differently, is we're just going to look at the student classification. So I'm going to insert a blank column here just so it's easier to follow. I'm going to right click, copy these, and I'm going to right click now on D and just hit paste. All I did was copy this column and put it here in column D. But now what makes this different is I'm going to go to find and replace. So what I want to do here is, I'll pull this over so you can see it. I want to find senior, and I'm going to replace each senior with the value of 4. So I hit replace all. And this kind of gives you an idea of the frequency of each value that's going to be present. So here we saw 31 replacements were made. Now for junior, I'll do 3. Replace all. We see 55 here, so we already see here that the frequency of junior is higher than senior. Sophomore, oops, forgot the O. We're going to have 2. Here we see 47, so with sophomores, they're a greater frequency than seniors, but less than juniors so far. And then freshmen, we'll get a value of 1. We see 39 there. So now we're interested now that they all have a distinct value. So freshman 1, sophomore 2, and you can even see here senior comes in back as 4 and junior as 3. We can calculate a mode for this. You should, if you're paying attention to the numbers, already know what it is, but I'm going to put mode there just so we remember what this is. Use the mode function, and here there's 3 different ones, but you can use the original function at this point. Do a parenthesis. Now again, I'm going to click this first cell, press and hold Control and Shift, hit the down arrow. It highlights the 172 different values. I'm going to close that parenthesis, hit Enter, and here we see 3 is the modal category. Again, that was juniors, so our value that is the modal category, or value is juniors out of this. So in my and Dr. Paez's intro class, we have not a majority, but the highest frequency value are juniors taking this course. So with that, this is a quick example of how to use Excel to calculate the average, your mean, your median percentile, the 50% mark. And then also, if you're interested in using it for the mode, you can do that as well. Again, there's other ways to do this in Excel through pivot tables and some of that. And we'll get into pivot tables and the use of those and the value of them. But if you're just starting out and trying to get a handle on Excel, calculating the mean or average, and then the median and mode. This is an easy way to start with data that we use commonly within sociological and criminological research. So if there's questions, feel free to reach out. I have no problem putting up other examples. Thanks. Bye.